everyone, and welcome to Smells Like Teen Angst. We are going to dive into Cruel Summer, Season 2, Episode 4, Spring in a Leak. Yeah. And as always, I am Sarah, and I am joined by these lovely ladies. Say hello. Introduce yourselves like they've never met you.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
And hi, I'm Keiki. And Jordan, you will always go first.
That's the new rule. I go first.
It's the new rule, the rule forever and always. I like it. It keeps it organized. It is what it makes it predictable and comfortable. So maybe we're someone's comfort after show. I don't know. And if we change it up, it freaks them out. I just want to say another big thank you to everyone who watches our show and leaves comments because it's amazing. I love how much you're loving what we're doing and loving all of your theories and your comments about everything. Everyone's not super sold on the ID being just a fake ID. And I feel like this episode confirms that it is. So, but everyone else's theories are kind of along the lines of ours. Like people like our accident theory, a la 13 Reasons Why. And many, many, many more. So I just want to say before we even start talking about this episode is I feel, and this happened in season 1, we are now in that middle of the season lull where they can't give too much away. And they don't give anything until like the dun 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 at the end. But then this episode had some really great moments and really great scenes that I thought were necessary, but not necessarily moving the story along yet.
Agreed. This episode was very filler, honestly. Like it was very much filler to me. I liked it, but I don't know that we needed it up until about the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, I was literally like not even invested, like wanting to stop watching until the last 5 minutes, which pissed me off because then I was like, it was just getting good. We've been wasting our time, all these other scenes. And now you end it. Thanks for the filler.
Kiki was like, that was it? That's it? No, we got to keep watching. And I'm like, Kiki, we can't keep watching because we will spoil things.
I had to pause the episode at one point, and I was like, wait a minute, there's no way I'm 35 minutes into this episode because not a damn thing has happened.
Not a thing. Like this, it was a lot of like, let's just start talking about summer 1999, right? So we see Megan. Megan is your goody two-shoes girl. She doesn't drink. She doesn't do anything bad. And now she's got Isabella, who's like this rebel, fun girl. And now Megan wants to like live her life on the edge. She doesn't want to be predictable anymore. And I love that Isabella is more than happy to oblige. She's like, yeah, let's do that. And when they're hanging out with Jeff and Luke on the beach, they start talking about making fake IDs, and Jeff's like, well, I'm good at Photoshop. And Megan's like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this. And so we have this whole storyline of the two of them, like of Megan and Jeff, like flirting, making fake IDs, showing Jeff her skills. Cause like, even in the 90s, it wasn't that easy to hack into a government website. It was easier than now, but like she made it seem so simple. So I feel like that really sets up how talented she is as far as like her hacking skills, which might come into play later. And then they also show the girls sharing clothes again, which everyone talked about, like the sweater in the sex video, that Isabella was wearing Megan's sweater. And so like, we just see them changing clothes all the time. So I was like, is this going to come into play more? Is someone else going to mistake an identity because they're wearing each other's clothes later? Like they keep harping on this. So I feel like it might happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we have this, like they get to the club, only the girls' IDs work because girls' IDs always work. It's just
like bouncers don't care. They just want lots of girls in the club, in the bar, whatever. It's good for business.
And as long as you don't make it horribly obvious, like, hey, when Luke doesn't get in because he doesn't know his sign, you know.
Which honestly, I thought that was baloney just because he could just be like, I don't believe in that shit. My birthday's May 25th. And like, how are you going to challenge him on that? Really, the bartender hit or the bouncer hinging on him knowing his zodiac was pretty thin for me.
I think because he like hesitated though is why it happened. Because if he would have just went, I don't believe in that shit, dude. Like immediately it was fine. But instead he tried to think about it, which gives you away.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's about conviction. You just have to be like, and this is me. But you know, it is what it is.
The girls have a good time. They get drinks bought for them by some creepy dude in the corner. She has her first rum and coke, and we have the whole Lisa. Oh, I drink these with Lisa. Hemingway drinks these. Like, Lisa, we need, I love you, Jordan. Eyeball.
They can't keep dangling this Lisa thread.
I can't wait till we find out who this Lisa girl is and what happened to her. Is she dead?
No more.
Like, is it if it doesn't turn out to be something fantastic, the way they've built this character up so much, it's like they can't let us down. Maybe she's alive. Maybe she's gonna roll. She's in jail. I don't know. They better have a good storyline for her. Otherwise, I'm gonna be upset.
Look, for me, it's not about Lisa having a storyline that's good. It's about figuring out who Isabella was before she came here and why she needed to like come from St. Bart's. You know, she's Miss Worldly, having a good time, and she chooses a town to host her in the middle of nowhere. I feel like part of that is like,
a payoff.
It's got to be you need to lay low. So I need to know why she had to lay low. Why was she on ice in a small town?
Inquiring minds want to know. When the girls are having a good time, the sheriff sees them and they run out and get in the car with the boys. And this is where we see Luke's turn on Megan a little bit, because he and Jeff have that scene in the car where he's like, it's okay, I'm fine with it if you guys are hanging out. And then he sees that she's drinking and he's like, you don't drink. I wish I could have seen that for the first time. And then when Jeff and Megan have their first kiss, he's staring at it. Like Luke is watching it happen the same way Megan watched his and Isabella's first kiss. And you can see that he's so upset. And that's why he kisses Isabella, to be like, do I actually still like this girl or not?
Yes, I think that's why he kissed Isabella. But also, I've been jealous of my best friend drinking when she would never drink with someone else and not me. And I took it out on her by getting her freaking hammered. So, I mean, it happens. You're like, excuse me, I've asked you for years just a sip and you won't. Like, just have fun with me. And then you have fun with some random person. You don't know them. I would have been safe, you know?
I think there's a lot of jealousy happening here. I think he's jealous of her newfound friendship with Isabella. I think he's jealous of Jeff. I just think there's a lot of like possessiveness and jealousness that he can't even parse himself.
Agreed. Completely. And I feel like that's really what this entire section of summer 1999 is setting up for us, right? It's the girls bonding more. It's the jealousy, and it's possible, like maybe to see where Luke decides he's actually in love with Megan, and the decision that has to be made that Jeff kind of mentioned before, be like, you chose the wrong guy. Because obviously now she's into Jeff and they're kind of talking, dating. And so if that's happening, I'm just waiting for that Luke moment. I need to figure out, like, they need to give me that sooner rather than later. We're halfway through the season, I think. I think there's only 8 episodes this season. So if that's the case, we're halfway through.
I don't agree. I don't think she's into Jeff.
Megan?
I think
Megan is into attention.
Yeah, I think she's doing it for attention. Like, you know, kind of like to be on Isabella's level. Like, I feel like if she was actually into him, they'd give us more of it. But they're not. So I think it's more so Megan just doing it for like clout, you know.
Kind of like a boy likes her and is giving her attention, so she should like him back, kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could see that. So then we are in December of 1999. So Megan apparently wants to be a white hat hacker, which are the good hackers that work for the government that keep the bad hackers from taking over the country, I guess. I don't know. It's what they do, though. They do that. They take people from jail and make them into it work. It happens. And then we have like this whole storyline about this burst pipe, right? Like I'm still just trying to figure out why we did this. You know, the whole they have this burst pipe that's going to cost them $6,000 to fix. Isabella offers money. Megan does not take it, which I actually don't think is weird. I wouldn't feel comfortable taking $5,000 from a friend to fix something like this, even if she feels like she can help. You know, and then they all end up over at the Chambers house, which is awkward because the mom's dating the dad. Megan is dating Luke, but then we have some really fantastic scenes that come out of this entire thing. And the first one that I absolutely love was like the sweet moment between Megan and her mom, where she talks about she wishes Megan would have told her the truth. She's like, these are big moments in your life. I thought that we were close, and you actually could kind of see that softness between the two of them, which we don't really get. It's very much their relationship isn't mother-daughter. It's mother collaborator in a way, you know. It's she doesn't get to be a kid. And then we get the dinner scene where the mom learns the truth about Brent, and she is all of us. And I appreciated her and this scene because she is pissed at the dad. She's like, how could you just let him off? She learns there's multiple tapes and is absolutely disgusted. And she is just so over this family. And this entire dinner scene I thought was great.
Yeah, I think dinner Go for it.
Go ahead, Keiki. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I love good dinner gossip. But what I took from this scene and what I liked about this scene is that we're not letting the adults be complacent with the type of energy her son is, not her son, but that Luke and his brother are giving off. What they did is wrong. They should be punished for it. Oh, you have to work for your dad's business. Oh, what a big punishment. That's not. And I'm glad that she agrees on that level that a wrong has happened and that his solution isn't right. Because right now it felt really there was a lot going on where we were forcing as you can see in this episode, there's hate calls that are coming to Megan and Isabel. And it just feels like the whole town is putting all this pressure on the girls when it's your shitty sons made this tape.
Jordan, what were you going to say about it?
I think this whole storyline with the burst pipe is really just introducing us to some power and social dynamics that I hope come back into play later, because you get how Isabella's well, no, I can just bail you guys out. And Megan and her mom are no, we're not going to take that money. And then this whole dinner scene is really about Megan's mom taking them to task and saying you cannot act like this. Actions have consequences. And Mr. Chambers basically just being no, I bought my way out of it. It's fine.
And it's don't question my parenting. And then she's what parenting, sir? I just love it that she's this is what you get by prioritizing the Chambers name over your kids. You get shitty children. We see it all the time.
Yeah. Also, we hear him mention a deal falling through because of this tape happening. And it feels like he's again trying to throw the blame on the girls. And I'm just your anger, your issue, all of it should be directed at your shitty sons. You raised these guys. Their mother is rolling in her grave right now because if I was a mom, I'd be so disappointed if those were my kids. And that's exactly what it feels like right now.
Yeah.
Bro, pick a side.
I also love how Megan's mom said that at dinner and Steve was don't say that. And she was I'm right. She would be disappointed.
Yeah. I also love that she forced an apology out of Brent. She's no, I want it sincere. And I was this is so glorious. The MVP for the mom. Now we also get this other storyline while they're at the house. And I honestly feel this comes out of nowhere. And tell me if you guys feel the same way. It's this weird jealousy line from Megan because she finds Isabella's bathing suit top in the towels of the bathroom upstairs, which seems very random if you have a maid. Just gonna put it out there.
Your maid's probably not doing her job. Just throwing that out there.
I was like, what is that? That's since last summer. That's like 6 months ago that bra's just been chilling in the towels. Which is why she obviously thinks it's weird. Like, why would it be there? And the thing is, like, Luke and Isabella are friends. And then Megan goes into this whole like spiral against Luke and which her points aren't invalid, but the way she went about it is a little wild. Because she's like, you don't understand. You're able to just throw money at things and things go away. You and Isabella don't get that. And so I feel like in a way that's where this weird jealousy storyline stems from, because she then confronts Isabella about the bathing suit top. And she's like, oh, it just must have left it here. And she's like, are you guys cheating? Do you still have feelings? Like, it's this whole left field jealousy storyline from Megan for me.
I feel like it's setting something up for later. And if it's not, then I'm going to feel really bamboozled and it's not going to make any sense. But it's just, I think that it's going to be really important because Megan has stressed so many times how she can't afford to go to UW without her scholarship and all these like money issues. She has to help her mom all the time. They don't ask her dad for help. She brings up how when the window gets busted, it gets fixed overnight. So I feel like something towards the end of Luke's murder is going to have to, like the money thing is going to have to come back around in some way.
Yeah, I'm feeling like her like disparity between poverty between the people who are in her life is going to come into play in some massive way that really just wrecks all the friendships in general. I also really feel like it's kind of like muddled in the relationships between like the mom and Luke's dad and the mom and then her husband. And it's just like, woman, you're hosting kids in like your home and also sleeping with multiple men. Like, what type of person do you think you are to be okay to do this? Like,
She's a little messy.
I'm very confused by how messy her mom is.
Well, she's not sleeping with Megan's dad right now. That was in the summer. So maybe that ended.
Still, it was only 6 months in between. And she's supposed to be setting an example for these girls. And like, does she have a steady income? Like, she's flying a little loose to just bring in a third child to her house.
Yeah. I mean, especially because she's now sleeping with her boss, right? That makes it even messier because they were coworkers, friends, may have crossed the line a couple times, and now they're in like a relationship. And I was going to say, and when it comes to the swimsuit, I really think it's just, there has to be some instance where Megan's not really sure she can trust the people in her life. Because why would you be so skeptical over a bathing suit? Like, it just has to be like, an insecurity of the story never lines up. Well, that's why I want to know something, Right. Yeah. And then we kind of wrap out of this. We go back to the mom. Have this note too during that dinner because Mr. Chambers tries to be the morality police on Megan's mom and calling her out on having 2 kids outside of wedlock. I'm like, sir, that's nowhere near your son taping underage girls.
Right. Not even close to the same thing, but thanks.
It's not even this close to the same thing. So I was like, wow. But then we have like to wrap up the winter of 1999. We still have this like lovely scene with Megan and her mom again, also worried about the pressure that this cover story is putting on Isabella and Megan's friendship in general. She talks about because all of a sudden the plumber is there here to fix the pipe. And she's like, oh, this is, his way of trying to apologize. And says this thing, and I wrote it down. She says, love isn't always enough. You also have to see the world in the same way. And if there isn't a truer statement that hit me in the throat a little bit, I was like, dang, Mom, you're right.
Been there.
And then this ends with Megan looking at her report card, and she's gone from an A to a C+ in a class, but I couldn't see which class that was. Was anyone else?
I don't know that we're supposed to be able to see it because I couldn't tell either.
And I'm just like, is this real or is this teacher retaliation now from the sex tape? Because the sex tape has now, as we know, from the principal threatening suspension, even though it happened outside of school hours and the school grounds, it's affecting her. personally. So I'm just like, what is like retaliation on her for what if she seems to be the victim in this whole thing? So it seems crazy.
Yeah, and I also don't think it's necessarily her because I think everyone is underneath, or not underneath, but under the same suspicion that in the video it's Isabella and not
Right.
Megan. So for Megan's grades to drop in retaliation, I was like, I'm not sure because we don't know that it's Megan, right? But also, what's going on in your life where you can't keep your grades up all of a sudden? And why is it just this one specific class that the grades have dropped in?
That's where my mind went. Like, it's one specific class. She went from like goody two shoes to party girl. We're seeing that transition. So, you know, like, I don't know what's happening there. Why is that one class the class where she can't keep her grades up?
I don't know. Hopefully they'll explain. So let's move into summer of 2000. So this is the moment where anything actually important happens, right? Of this episode. So we see Megan sketchily throwing out some trash. Isabella goes out to check it and sees that she threw away something bloody. But I was like, are these towels? Are these clothes? It just had blood on it. I don't know.
We don't know what it was.
Don't know what it was. The lawyer is now livid because of all the stuff that came out at the sheriff's office. And he's like drilling into her, like, I need to know what happened at the cabin. You lied to me. I have to be prepared, which I understand. If I was that lawyer and you're blindsided like that, you need to know. And so Megan says that like that was the only thing that she lied about and that she really saw Luke that morning and like that was it. She didn't take him home because there's this cover story now. So apparently Luke left a letter at the cabin saying that he was going to leave to see his family in West Virginia, and Megan's fingerprints are on this letter. So now we are like, Luke is running away. And all of this happened on like New Year's Eve, 6 months earlier. So what happens between like the 27th of December, which is our blue filter, right? Those like couple days, and the 1st, this all happens in like 5 days that he disappears. And I'm like, something crazy is about to go down in the winter of 1999. So he wants to run away, and she says that because he was scared, and then tries to take it back, and then doesn't want to go into it. So like, is his father threatening him? Is his brother threatening him? Is Isabella threatening him? Like, what would scare Luke Chambers so much that he felt like he had to run away?
Well, I mean, Luke Chambers does seem kind of weak, not gonna lie. He's a soft boy. He is a very soft boy. So I feel like anything could scare him, and he'd be like, I'm out.
I don't know. I feel like these kids definitely do have some fear of their dad.
Absolutely.
So makes me question dad even more.
Mm-hmm.
He also worked at the police station. So maybe you know something that's happening there. Like, it's messy and it's getting messier.
Yeah. So apparently the plan really was, I guess maybe I'm guessing this part, fake a fight, because everyone said that they were fighting at the party and they left together. They're supposed to go to the cabin. He writes the letter. She's supposed to give it to him after she takes Luke to the train station. So she goes to work, comes back to pick him up, and he is missing. And she also starts crying and saying, like, every time the phone rang for months, she thought it was going to be him. And in that moment, I actually believe her.
Yes. That's the only thing that I believe, but I have questions. I don't necessarily believe anything about her story except for the part where she's like, every time I thought the phone was going to ring, I was hoping it was him. Because the rest of it just seems weird and messy. And like, we've caught her in so many lies, which is the point of this episode, to prove that she's lied so many times that like she's not reliable. So it's just confusing.
Yeah. And also, like, how long has Luke been in the lake? You know what I mean? Because if his body was in the lake for 6 months, he would not be recognizable.
That's what somebody commented on our last episode, that if he had been decomposed, if he'd been in the lake for 6 months, you wouldn't have been able to see him.
No one would have recognized him. They would have had to do like dental impressions if he still had teeth. So that makes me think Luke was alive, which is why she's like, where was he? I went to find him. Like, maybe all that's fake. Maybe she did take him on the train station, but she was truly worried about him for months because he never contacted her again. And then I don't know if she's surprised that his body's in the lake. Maybe, we don't know.
Maybe he was gone for months and then he came back and he died during the 6 months when he was missing. Because there's no proof that he died in December of 1999, January of 2000. Right. So maybe he was gone for a while. He popped back up in like May of 2000 and then he died.
Right.
Right. But they also said that, here's the thing that was like really messing me up. Because they said it wasn't the bullet wound that killed him. Mm-hmm. It was just a graze. And I'm like, if it's a graze, how do you know it's the same gun? Just because you find a gun with everybody's handprints on it doesn't mean that that's the gun that shot him, especially if it's a graze and not an actual wound.
Unless they found the bullet.
Unless they found the bullet, yeah. And then I'm like, and then they found drugs in his system, but then they have no one to pinpoint the drugs on. So, we do recall seeing pills in Megan's backpack, but we're like, are they her pills? Are they someone else's pills? We now remember Megan lording it over Jeff. Like, I know how you make money for your camera. So that puts him in it too. And then dun, dun, dun. At the end of the episode, we know you were pregnant to her. Like the sheriff says to her. And I'm just like, okay, now who did what? Now what's happened in this lake house? Was she cleaning up Luke's blood? Was she cleaning up the blood of her unborn child? Like, it's all too messy. And that's why I just need to keep watching, because all they've given me is trash scraps at this point. Yeah, and I'm over here, Charlie Day in it, trying to put together something.
I had to be real strong to not start the next episode, y'all, because the second they're like, oh, we know you were pregnant, I was like, I need to know what happens. I need to know.
Yeah. And don't forget, Isabella was throwing away pills while calling her mother in the second episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, pills are everywhere. They also confiscate Megan's computer, which she's panicked about. And she's on the phone with someone saying, I did these things. I cleared it. I just don't know if it worked. I did it twice. And they're going through the computer and there's a virus.
Well, and if you remember that when when they're making the fake IDs, she hurries up to close an AIM chat window with a mysterious person. And I feel like this could be important because in season 1, they had the mysterious chat logs.
Absolutely.
So who else is coming into play? There's somebody.
Lisa. I don't know.
It's Lisa. I know that I would die. I'd be so angry.
Look, if it's Lisa, just remember I said this now.
It's going to be way too clean if it's Lisa. I hate that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny.
I will lose my mind if it's not one of the people they've been throwing at us. I'm sorry. Like, you can't just be someone out of nowhere.
I know. We'll have to see. Because she's got it, like a mentor of some kind. And they were like, do these things, clear your computer. And they're coming for it. And they did. And I was just like, any hacker is going to have a virus. They're going to have a fail-safe. You click on the wrong folder and it's like, it's over. So the new cop theory, like our big dun, 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 as you said, Keiki, is that Megan was apparently pregnant. Maybe she was cleaning up her miscarriage. Things happen. And the cop theory is that he rejected the idea of her having a baby, which sounds much more like the dad being upset about the baby. And so she killed him. I am at the point where I do not think Megan killed him. I don't necessarily, she's off my list.
I'm putting my fingers at the adults here.
I'm still very Charlie Day, where I feel like it was some grand fiasco accident.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of people were involved, but no one killed him on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he was like gonna run away, and then she was like, I don't want the baby, has a miscarriage. He gets mad, storms off onto the crazy neighbor's property who shoots at him. He falls into the lake and drowns.
I forgot about the crazy neighbor.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I feel like there's multiple things that happened here, and I do not think his death was on purpose.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm very much leaning into the accident camp for sure.
Yeah, I feel like accidental death for sure, but I still don't think Isabella's hands are clean.
Yeah.
But Megan, for sure, she's kind of cleared her name for me. because she's so messy.
There's also like a part of me that thinks Megan and Isabella are actually still friends and are playing this whole we aren't to protect themselves and whatever real story it is. And I don't like, and they're going to run away together. I don't know. There's like a part of me that thinks that their entire relationship is still intact.
I would like that. I would hope so.
Like, is that crazy? I don't think that's.
No, I hate when girls don't like each other. Get over it.
Yeah.
You know, like we got to get it straight. Like, obviously it's awkward. They had to have like a fake falling out again, you know, and it happened so close to the sex tape. They're supposed to not like each other, you know?
Exactly.
So I don't know, you guys, but I'm with you. I got to watch this next episode. We got to watch this next episode. I need to know what happens.
Yeah. I need to not be mad if the next one's a filler. I am calling Freeform. You hear that, Freeform? I need to speak to a manager. I am writing a strongly worded letter. This is why the writers are on strike.
No, I'm so glad this show happened before that because this would not be happening. It wouldn't be as good.
I'd be so upset.
But speaking of the strike, I'm going to a Julie and the Phantom strike on Friday. So if any of our viewers are in the Los Angeles area, come to Netflix. We'll be there. We're trying to raise money for hot dogs because if you watch the show, they're very important to the plot. But otherwise, anything else on Cruel Summer?
Speaking of hot dogs, I'm hungry. Let's wrap this up.
Let's go. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Keep commenting. We absolutely love it. And we'll see you guys next week. It better be good.
It better be good.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye.